everybody. Welcome back to another Monday. We are looking this week at Genesis 1 through 2, Moses 2 through 3, and Abraham 4 through 5. So 6 chapters total in the Pearl of, 4 in the Pearl of Great Price and 2 in the Old Testament. So we're jumping right into the Old Testament. It's mostly about the creation. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. But let's go through and take a look. It's not just about the creation. Okay, so right here, there's an overview of the book of Genesis. See Genesis in the Bible dictionary. That one that one's added to the secondary list. What did I call that? The Come There's More list. Because it's in the Bible dictionary. As we keep going, by mine only begotten, I created these things. There is a hymn, All Creatures of Our God and King. There's a scripture in the Doctrine and Covenants. If you want to check that out, some pretty artwork. Then we get to I am created in the image of God. And this is where the content starts to pick up a bit. There is the Your Body is Sacred section in For the Strength of Youth. There's this video right here, God's Greatest Creation, just under 3 minutes. There's a verse in Ether and one in Mosiah, so a couple of Book of Mormon verses. And then there is this talk by President Nelson. It's not a talk, it's an article. August 2019 would not be a talk. That would be an article. Your Body, a Magnificent Gift to Cherish. Then we get into marriage between a man and a woman is ordained of God. And this goes back to Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve were joined together in marriage for time and for all eternity by the power of the everlasting priesthood. And that comes from a talk called Lessons from Eve. That one is definitely on our list. Then there's some verses in Genesis, Moses, Abraham, 1 Corinthians, New Testament, and then the family, a proclamation to the world. I realized that we just did that a couple of weeks ago, but I put that in here anyway. It's never a bad thing to review that again. All right, I am responsible for caring for God's creations. And I'm just going to share a quick story that popped into my head. I was one day, I don't remember what I said. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I was talking about how humans, we have dominion. Like the Lord gave Adam and Eve dominion over all of the things of the earth. And she kind of I was talking to a friend of mine, she kind of rolled her eyes and she said, it drives me crazy how much people misunderstand what dominion means. It doesn't mean that we get to just use it for whatever we want, however we want. It means that we have stewardship over it, that we use it respectfully, that we take care of it, that it becomes a sacred thing for us. And so I am responsible for caring for God's creations made me think of that when I was putting all of this stuff together. And it asks the question, what do these verses suggest about our responsibility toward God's creations? And then there's some in the Doctrine and Covenants too that can add to our understanding. And then there's a talk, called Our Earthly Stewardship by Elder Cassay. That one's on our list. And then this environmental stewardship and conservation, that's on our supplemental list, our extra list. God blessed and sanctified the Sabbath day. So, obviously, as part of the creation, he blessed and sanctified the Sabbath day, the seventh day. And this is just a highlight. The Sabbath is a delight. And I only put the highlight on our list. I didn't put the whole talk on there. Feel free to go and check out that whole talk, but because there are so many other things on here, and because our supplemental list is pretty long, I just left the highlight on this time. All right, we'll come back to Scripture Helps. Let's look at these ideas for teaching children just really quick. There is the creation of the earth video, and that one, I put that in the supplemental list. I didn't put that on the regular list. That's on the extras list. It's only 2 minutes and 9 seconds. There's a song here if you want to go take a listen. I was created in God's image. We talked about that a little bit above. And the Sabbath day is holy. We also talked about that up above. There's some pretty artwork. Jesus Christ creating the earth. And then there's a fun activity page where you can color and cut out a cube. All right, so let's go back up here to the scripture helps and click to see more. These are all in here, but they are in here separately. Let's open this in its own tab, actually. We'll look at this separately. There is the what is the book of Genesis? How can I approach my study of the creation? So this is about the book of Genesis itself. This is about the creation. 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 Same thing here. Oh, nope, this changes a little bit. What does it mean to be created in the image of God? So we have all of these creation ones, and now we have some image of God. How does the Lord's commandment to multiply and replenish the earth apply today? That's in the family of proclamation to the world. What does it mean to have dominion over the things of the earth? Talked about that just a second ago. But that's different than like just reading something that's general about the book of Genesis. All right, what is significant about God resting on the seventh day of creation? What is the church's position on evolution? Why were Adam and Eve commanded not to eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Were there conflicting commandments? What is a helpmeet? Was Eve really created from Adam's rib? How did Adam and Eve become a married couple? What does it mean for husbands and wives to become one flesh? These are all really good things to know and understand as we're studying the creation and the connection between Adam and Eve. How were they connected? How did they get married? How did that work out? Okay, so what do our lists look like then? Here is the first one. This is our regular list. Abraham 4 and 5. And I started with Abraham 4 and 5 because Abraham chapter 4 is more pre-creation. The where we were, who we were, where we came from, that is in Abraham chapter 4. Chapter 5 gets into the creation and Adam and Eve. And then we have that video, God's Greatest Creation, that was 2 minutes and 9 seconds. God's Greatest Creation, that one's 2 minutes and 51 seconds. Then we go into Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1 is about the creation and being created in the image of God. And so we added that your body is sacred here with this one, being created and being created in the image of God. Moses chapter 2 is also about the creation and image of God. So we put in here, your body, a magnificent gift to cherish by President Nelson. Then we get into our earthly stewardship with Elder Cassay on Thursday. And then Genesis 2 and Moses 3, those are about the creation. So Genesis chapter 2 is about the Sabbath day and Adam and Eve. And Moses chapter 3 is about marriage and Adam and Eve. So those work together, along with the family and proclamation to the world. And then also because it's the Sabbath day, we've got that video highlight about the Sabbath being a delight by President Nelson. And then to wrap all of that up, on Saturday, we are looking at that talk from President Nelson called Lessons from Eve. And it's an old talk. I want to say it's from the late 70s, early 80s. It's an old one, but it's a good one. So that's what this list looks like. And on average, it's about 17 minutes every day, but Monday is 14 and a half, Tuesday is 14 and a half, Wednesday is 19 and a half, Thursday is only 12 minutes and 17 seconds, Friday is 15:17, and Saturday is the longest at just under 25 minutes. So they're kind of all over the place, but they're grouped together topically versus just whatever we can fit in the average number of minutes. And then here is the supplemental list. Here's the extras, quote unquote extras list, in case you want to look at this. And I put these ones together based on topic. So pre-creation, the video called Our Home, and the other video, We Lived with God. The creation itself, scripture helps, the creation sections, we just looked at those. The video, the creation of the earth. There's a talk by President Nelson called The Creation. And then there's a harmony of the creation accounts to look at as well. And then God's creations, topics and questions, environmental stewardship and responsibility, and what is the church's position on evolution? Adam and Eve, scripture helps, Adam and Eve. The talk by Elder Christofferson, Why Marriage, Why Family, that one's not very old. And then In Partnership with the Lord by Elder Suarez, also not very old. He hasn't been an apostle that long. And then just kind of more general about the book of Genesis. We've got that Bible dictionary section on Genesis, and then scripture helps. What is the book of Genesis? So decide what it is that you're studying this week, that you're the most interested in, you have the most questions about. And if you have time, once you've gone through all of this stuff, and if you still have time, look into some of these things. I'm realizing right now that I didn't put the amount of time for each one of these on the list. I may not be able to do that before you watch this video, but I will go back and fix that and update the list. So if you go download the list from PaisleyImperfect.com, if you download it on Monday, it probably won't have the times on it, but I'll have it up there by Tuesday. The video, Our Home, is 1.5 minutes. We Lived with God is 4 minutes. Creation sections, there's a few of these. It's about 8 minutes. That's more of an estimate. Video, The Creation of the Earth, is 2 minutes and 9 seconds. This talk by President Nelson called The Creation, that one is just under 17 minutes. A Harmony of the Creation Accounts, that's 35 minutes, so that's a long one. These ones, Environmental Stewardship and Responsibility, that's 4 minutes. What is the church's position on evolution? That one is 1 minute and 40 seconds. The scripture helps, Adam and Eve. That one, where did that one go? There it is, 2.5 minutes. Why Marriage, Why Family, 15 minutes. In Partnership with the Lord, just barely under 13 minutes. And then Bible Dictionary, Genesis, 5 minutes, and scripture helps, What is the book of Genesis, 1 minute. But I will go through and update this list. It's going to take some getting used to for me. Anyway, that is our list for this week. This one, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. This is the list of extras, if you want to call them that. The little bit more stuff to help us get a little bit deeper in. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great week. My kids go back to school tomorrow, finally, after the winter break. Finally, I have really enjoyed spending time with them. I love my kids. I am also ready for them to go back to school tomorrow. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope that you are learning, and I hope that these lists are helpful. Until next time.